This is Rummy's Corner. It's finally happening. Coming up on July 29th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, in a bout that will be televised on Showtime pay-per-view. Unified IBF WBC WBA welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr. will square off against WBO welterweight champion Terence Bud Crawford. This battle between two dominant, undefeated welterweight champions will produce the first undisputed world welterweight champion during the modern four-belt era. And it will likewise produce the first undisputed world welterweight champion since Zab Judah last held that distinction way back in 2006. In addition to that, it will arguably be the most significant boxing match since Floyd Mayweather Jr. defeated Manny Pacquiao more than 8 years ago. And it will undoubtedly be the most significant welterweight championship bout since the 2015 showdown between Floyd and Pac. And the fact that Spence and Crawford are both undefeated champions only adds to the intrigue. Beyond that, these two have an out-of-the-ring rivalry that spans more than 5 years. Yet another similarity with the situation involving Mayweather and Pacquiao. In other words, Spence and Crawford could have, and probably should have fought back in 2018 or 2019. But better late than never, this one still holds great historic significance. Sure, it could have been better, but on the flip side, it could be worse. So credit to Spence and Crawford for getting the deal done. And now we get the opportunity to see which boxer might ultimately be regarded as the best welterweight in his time. For me, it's a true 50-50 pick'em fight if ever there was one. This matchup goes beyond the already inherently intriguing clash of styles. And the simple fact remains, Spence has never fought anyone quite like Crawford, and Crawford hasn't faced anyone quite like Spence. That is what makes this one so damn fascinating. And my personal suspicion is that these two welterweight champions will each bring out the very best in one another, and that it should produce a highly engaging, crowd-pleasing encounter. One can hope, but I genuinely believe there is a very strong likelihood that this will indeed prove true. Spence and Crawford both tend to embrace a methodical start the first few rounds, where despite having vastly different approaches, they patiently assess what the opponent is bringing to the table as they studiously begin to mentally dissect the foe in front of them. Spence is primarily looking for ways to effectively apply pressure, whereas Crawford is primarily looking to gauge reactions where he can later exploit a mistake. But they both tend to take a few rounds before they generally find their groove and establish a better tempo with their respective approach. It generally takes Crawford a little time before he starts really settling in with his timing and distance. And it likewise usually takes Spence some time before he effectively turns up the pressure and discovers his rhythm. So while the approaches are very different, they both tend to build momentum in similar fashion. But will either man be able to establish any real momentum for a prolonged stretch? At heart, I think it boils down to whether or not Crawford can land enough sharp, sneaky counters to slow Spence down. And if he cannot do that, will the relentless pressure style from Spence ultimately prove too much for Bud with activity? And for my 2 cents, I don't believe either guy is likely to build any real momentum for an extended period of time. In other words, if you break each round down to 20 or so mini battles in each round, I'd be pretty surprised if either athlete was consistently winning more than a dozen per round, and I'd expect a lot of rounds to be fairly even in that regard. I believe there will be a lot of mini shifts in momentum that will keep things competitive to the point that neither guy establishes any real momentum. I simply believe they are both too clever, too consistent, and too determined to be dominated by the other. If my expectation here proves true, combined with the fact that these guys have already had a long rivalry outside of the ring, and also combined with the fact that they both have the heart and mindset of an undefeated world champion. When you have two highly skilled, elite, determined warriors with this much buildup and so much at stake, I truly believe this will become a prolonged tactical battle of attrition that will ultimately boil down to who wants it more, where sheer determination might very well determine the victor in this one. To reiterate what I already said, I truly believe that these two will inevitably bring out the very best in one another. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think us boxing fans are in for a real treat here. At the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if this one winds up being ruled a draw. I likewise would not be surprised if this is a close decision one way or another that results in a little controversy, because let's face it, whenever we have a close fight these days, someone out there is screaming robbery. But if forced to pick a winner, for my official prediction, I'm going with Terence Bud Crawford by a close and competitive decision. And the reason I'm going with Bud is because I see him having the slightest edge in terms of raw determination combined with an ability to make something happen where he needs to stray outside of his comfort zone. So I'm taking Terence Crawford by a close 12-round decision, but really, what the hell do I know? I ain't exactly Quasimodo over here. All I know for certain is I am damn fired up that this one is actually happening. It should be a damn good fight, and may the best man win on that night. Best of luck to both Spence and Crawford. I cannot wait. So who do you think will win the upcoming fight for undisputed welterweight supremacy? Errol Spence Jr. or Terence Bud Crawford? Please share your thoughts in the comments section and enjoy the fight, everyone. I hope it's a real classic. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.
You know, Quasimodo predicted all this.